Let me ask you something real quick. Can you name one rapper who openly dissed Diddy repeatedly for decades and never got touched? Not blackballed, not checked, not sued, not responded to? Because for almost 30 years, Diddy has been known as one of the most powerful people in hip-hop. Someone who could make careers explode or quietly disappear. Someone artists showed respect to, stayed in line for, and avoided crossing at all costs. But there was one name that kept popping up in his lyrics, one voice that never softened, one artist who didn't back down, didn't apologize, didn't retreat: Eminem. And what's wild is this: Eminem didn't just sneak disses in once or twice. He called Diddy out by name. He made uncomfortable references. He touched subjects nobody else would even breathe near. And Diddy? He stayed quiet. No diss tracks, no public clapbacks, no lawsuits. No visible retaliation. So the real question isn't why Eminem kept dissing him. The real question is, why didn't Diddy ever respond? Because when you actually break this down, it becomes very clear. This was never about rap, it was about power. And Eminem had a kind of power Diddy couldn't control. And once you understand that, everything changes. To really get this, you have to understand how the hip-hop industry usually works. When a powerful mogul gets challenged, especially publicly, the response isn't always loud. It's subtle. Radio stops spinning your records. Features dry up, relationships disappear, opportunities quietly vanish. You don't get a warning, you just feel it. That's how pressure works in this business. But Eminem never felt that pressure, not once. From the moment he blew up, Eminem operated outside the normal rules. He didn't rely on radio spins to survive. He didn't need industry favors. His fans followed him no matter what he said, who he offended, or who he challenged. If Eminem dropped an album, it went #1. If Eminem disappeared for years, people still waited. That kind of independence already made him dangerous. But independence alone doesn't explain why Diddy stayed hands-off. Because plenty of independent artists still get pressed behind the scenes. Eminem didn't. And that's because what protected Eminem didn't come from the industry at all. Back in the early 2000s, Eminem was dealing with real-world pressure. Not internet rumors, not tabloid drama, real situations. According to people around him at the time, Eminem had genuine connections to respected circles on the West Coast, including members of the Samoan community, most notably the Booyah tribe. These weren't industry insiders. These weren't executives. These were people known for loyalty, structure, and respect earned outside the music business entirely. When Eminem's manager Paul Rosenberg reached out during that period, it wasn't for a deal. It wasn't for publicity. It was about making sure situations didn't escalate further. That connection later resulted in the 2003 track 911 with Booyah Tribe and Be Real. But the song itself wasn't the headline. The message behind it was. Eminem wasn't standing alone. And in hip-hop, word moves fast. Once it became clear that pressing Eminem meant dealing with people who didn't care about charts, fame, or industry politics, situations cooled off quickly. Most celebrities would have folded, paid up, checked in, played along. Eminem didn't. He stood his ground. And when that happened, the narrative shifted. Eminem wasn't just another rapper. He had real backing. And more importantly, he had the confidence to stand on it. Someone like Diddy, who built his entire empire understanding leverage, pressure, and control, would have clocked that immediately. But even that wasn't the moment that cemented Eminem's reputation. That came during one of the most legendary moments in hip-hop history. Early 2000s. 50 Cent is filming the In Da Club video, one of the biggest rap records ever. The set is packed, cameras rolling, industry execs everywhere. Then suddenly, Suge Knight pulls up, uninvited, rolling deep. At that time, Suge Knight's name alone made rooms go silent. People didn't just fear his influence, they feared what could happen if things went left. Tony Yayo later described the tension. The game confirmed it too. Security froze. Executives didn't want problems. People backed away. But Eminem didn't. According to multiple people who were there, Eminem stood his ground. No yelling, no panic, no theatrics, just calm confidence. Like someone who wasn't scared of consequences. And here's the part that really matters. Suge left. Not because Eminem backed down, but because pushing further meant bigger problems than anyone wanted. That moment changed how people saw Eminem. He wasn't afraid of reputations. He wasn't intimidated by power plays. He wasn't someone you could scare into silence. And yes, Diddy was watching. Now, fast forward to 2002. Eminem signs 50 Cent to Shady Records. And this wasn't just a business move. This was a power shift. 50 Cent didn't come into the industry clean. He came with a real reputation. He survived multiple attempts on his life. He had deep roots in New York, and he built his name on never backing down. When Eminem and 50 linked up, the industry paid attention immediately. These two weren't to be tested. Not individually, definitely not together. What made this alliance especially dangerous wasn't just influence, it was loyalty. This wasn't a relationship you could break with money, pressure, or backroom deals. 50 respected Eminem as a person, not just an artist, and that loyalty showed, over and over again. Anyone who came at Eminem had to deal with both of them, publicly, loudly, relentlessly. From Diddy's perspective, going after Eminem wouldn't just be rap beef. It would mean instant conflict with Eminem and 50 at the same time. Two artists with massive platforms, nothing to lose, and zero fear of industry backlash. That's not a smart move. And this is where Eminem starts doing something almost nobody else dared to do. He kept dissing Diddy, repeatedly, strategically, over decades. Back in 1996, on Effing Crazy, Eminem was already taking shots at Bad Boy. At the time, people brushed it off as underground battle rap, but looking back, it feels like the opening shot of a long-running rivalry. Once Eminem hit mainstream success, the shots stopped being subtle. On the Marshall Mathers LP, he dismissed Diddy openly. On I'm Back, he referenced Diddy's relationship with Jennifer Lopez in a way that wasn't playful. It was deliberate, provocative, uncomfortable, and still, no response. In hip-hop, silence doesn't always equal strength. Sometimes it equals caution, especially when the disses don't stop, album after album, year after year. Eminem wasn't throwing shock bars for attention. He was applying pressure, psychological pressure, challenging the idea that Diddy was untouchable. And every time Diddy stayed quiet, that image cracked just a little more. Then 2018 happened. Machine Gun Kelly went at Eminem. Eminem responded with Kill Shot, a track designed to end the conversation, and it did. But buried inside that diss aimed at someone else was a line that touched one of the most sensitive topics in hip-hop history. Eminem casually referenced it, then followed it with, "I'm just playing, Diddy. You know I love you." But by then, it was already out there. Reaction videos exploded, forums went crazy, industry whispers got louder, and once again, no response. No lawsuit, no public denial, no retaliation. That's when people really started asking questions. If Eminem was bold enough to touch that subject publicly, what else might he know? And why didn't Diddy want that conversation anywhere near the spotlight? Here's the truth. Eminem never needed industry approval. He didn't need favors. He didn't need validation. His success didn't depend on the system, and that made him untouchable in a way moguls fear. Then November 2023 hit. Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit describing serious allegations against Diddy. The case was settled quickly, but the public impact was massive. Suddenly, old lyrics sounded different. Old references hit harder. Fans went back, connected dots, replayed lines, and once again, silence. Then, July 2024, Eminem drops The Death of Slim Shady. On Fuel, listeners immediately caught the wordplay. Sharp, deliberate, uncomfortable, and the timing shook people. The song dropped before public headlines exploded, before official moves were announced. Too many fans, it didn't feel random. It felt like a warning hidden in plain sight. When charges were later announced, a lot of people had the same realization. This didn't come out of nowhere. Eminem had been circling this for decades. So why did Diddy avoid Eminem for years? Because Eminem wasn't just another rapper. He had independence. He had real backing. He had loyalty that couldn't be broken. And he wasn't afraid to say things others wouldn't touch. And here's the part people don't talk about enough. Eminem didn't just survive all of this because he was protected. He survived because he was calculated. People love to frame Eminem as chaotic, reckless, someone who just says whatever pops into his head. But if you actually study how he moves, especially when it comes to power figures in the industry, you start noticing something very different. Eminem doesn't speak randomly. He speaks selectively. When Eminem really wants smoke with someone, you know it instantly. You get full diss tracks, names, timelines, receipts, no ambiguity, no playful disclaimers. But with Diddy, it was always different. The lines were sharp but controlled. The references were clear but never spelled out fully. Just enough to make people uncomfortable. Just enough to make people rewind. That tells you something. Because Eminem has never been afraid to completely destroy someone lyrically if he wants to. We've seen it. Ja Rule, Benzino, MGK, Everlast. He doesn't hold back when he decides it's time. But with Diddy, Eminem played a long game. Think about that. For decades, Eminem never crossed the point of no return. He applied pressure, but never detonated everything at once. That's not fear, that's restraint. And restraint usually comes from one of two places: respect or knowledge. Whether you see it as coincidence or pattern recognition, one thing is undeniable. Eminem moved in a way the industry couldn't control. And Diddy knew engaging could open doors he couldn't close. So maybe Eminem wasn't trolling this whole time. Maybe he was doing what he's always done, saying the uncomfortable thing and daring anyone to stop him. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.